Time to catch up with one of our former Kitchener Ranger captains, and I am thrilled to be joined by Kitchener Rangers legend, actually, Gabriel Landeskog. Welcome home, Gabe.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
So let's talk about this, because we're just outside of last night when we're recording this. You were here last night. You brought your whole family back. You flew your dad in from Sweden. You had your kids out there with you for the puck drop. What kind of emotions were you feeling being at center ice at the Odd again?
Yeah, no, it was very special. And I think that started earlier in the day when we were packed up in the truck and ready to head in this way, and then coming down the highway and getting off at Ottawa Street here and coming into the Odd. I mean, there's just so many emotions and memories that are just flashing back. And it just feels surreal that now, whatever, 12 or 13 years later, I get to bring my young kids here. And get to bring my wife. She'd never seen this rink, this arena. We kind of met towards the end of my tenure here in Kitchener, but she'd never been here, so very special. And to get to go out and now be a proud alumni and a former player and to drop the puck, it was an awesome experience, and a night I'll never forget.
So part of that event was you were doing an autograph signing before, and the lineup to see you and your teammates that were signing autographs was incredible. What was it like for you? You were so community-minded when you were here, engaging with the fans. To be able to do that again, how rewarding was that for you?
Very rewarding, and I think that's what made it very special, is that you start recognizing people from back then, and people come up and show you pictures, or you're signing photos that were taken 12 years ago with a kid that was 4 at the time, and now he's 16, and it's pretty cool to see the progression, right? But I think the Rangers have always been such a community proud team, always been connecting with people around, and whether it's through autograph signings or youth programs or whatever it might be, that's sort of when you learn how important that is to be out in the community and to help out, and I think those lessons early on have stuck with me, and now that I'm in Colorado, it's something it's absolutely something I want to be a part of, and it's just sort of ingrained in you. So very special, blessed that so many people wanted to come out and see us for autographs and waited so patiently in line, and just awesome to see. A lot of the kids were maybe even too young to have seen us play, yeah. But nonetheless very special, and that you can tell the Rangers are still very, very special in this town, and it's awesome to see.
So there's so much history in this building, and I don't really need to explain that to you. We're in McLennan Hall, and we're surrounded by history where we sit right now. So when you come back and you see the way the Odd is now compared to the way it was when you were here, this really gives these players a leg up. This is almost NHL caliber, wouldn't you think, these facilities now?
I think the standard here and the way the buildings and the facilities and the locker room and things like that have always been very, very good. And now to get to come back and see the things changing, and the locker room has gotten upgrades, and suites have been added up top, seats have been added. It's pretty special to see how much has been put into this place, but still the tradition is still here, right? And the history is still here. And I think guys down there in the locker room need to know that they are essentially being treated like pros right now. I remember feeling that way, and I remember Steve Spott telling us that, hey, listen, you guys are treated like pros here, and now there's a lot that's expected out of you as well. And I think that if you only play in Kitchener, you might not have anything else to compare it to, and you just sort of take it for granted. But I think it would be an eye-opening experience when we'd have guys get traded to us or come to us that have been somewhere else, and they realize, they'll tell us, hey, this isn't what it's like everywhere. This is not what it's like over here. This is not what it feels like over there. And you don't get your names on your sticks here, and you don't get, so many things here, whatever might be big or small. It's just all those little things add up to what the Rangers are. And I think that means a lot to players. It makes you feel special. It makes you feel appreciated, as long as they do appreciate it. It's a pretty special place to play, and I think the number one thing for me has been to see the updated facilities, but also the preserved history. I think
Yeah.
that's the best part, and I think the Rangers have always done such a great job of honoring their past, and I think that's what makes this place very special.
It's great, Gabe. You mentioned, what it's like when you have a player traded in. When a player gets traded out and they come back and I interview them, I say, how do you like that visitor's locker room? And they don't like it very much
Yeah.
compared to the home locker room. So what was it like for you seeing some familiar faces when you came back, maybe in the front office? I imagine it was probably pretty exciting to see Dan Liebold back between the benches again.
Yeah, it really was. He was one of the first guys that we were able to give big hugs to last night walking into that locker room. And Danny's just, he's a legend here, and he's a staple around here, and I don't know what this place will be like the day that he's not, but he's been sort of that father to everybody in the organization that's come through here for the last 20 plus years. It's been, if you look at the grand scheme of things, I was here for 2 years, but I feel every time I come back or every time I think of the Kitchener Rangers, Danny's a big part of that. And I think that's what makes this place so special, it's the people. And whether that's Dan Liebold or whether it's Max working upstairs in Legends floor up there outside the elevator, or it's somebody else, it's the people that make it very special. And they're appreciative, they take a lot of pride in their job, and they are just, this is just what they want to do, and this is just who they are and ingrained in them, and they want to take care of people that come through the doors, and it's just awesome to see everybody that's still here. And there's some fans last night that came up, and we started reminiscing about memories and things like that. So very special, and it brings back just a lot of joy to me.
It's so funny that you mentioned Max, because I always know when you've had a big game in the NHL, because Max is the first one to tell me when I get to the media room, did you see what Gabe did last night? It's great that you were able to reconnect with him. Now I want to mention that you were here last night with Ben Thompson, Ben Finelli, and Tyler Randall. Now you guys, among others, have stayed close for your entire lives since your playing career. And I haven't seen players stay as tight as that group has. What is it about all of you that has formed this bond? You always refer to yourselves as brothers whenever we talk about this. Why is it so close?
Yeah, I think, when you're playing juniors together and you're 16 and 17 and 18 years old, and you're sort of each other's world, right? Like, that's what it is. And I was speaking to the Bens about it last night, about how hockey is your world at that age, and then your friends are your world. That's it, essentially. You realize then when you get out, from my perspective, I get out into the NHL, and guys have families, and guys have other interests, and whatever else they're doing, and all of a sudden you go home from practice, and it becomes very obvious that it's your job all of a sudden. And I think when you look back at our time here, we were so tight because we'd go from practice, and then we'd go to somebody's house, and then we'd go walk around the mall and just kill time. And you just, all these interests that you're bonding over at that time, you're just spending so much time together, and the road trips and all of that time. But I think for us specifically, obviously what Ben Finelli went through in 2009, I think that something that just brought everybody closer on that team. So anybody that was there, anybody that was a part of it, I think it just brought us all closer as a group. And then obviously me, Ben, and Ryan Murphy as well, we came in as young guys together that fall of 2009. So we were tied from the get-go, and then we've just sort of bonded over the years. And it's one of those things where you're able to stay friends through different phases of life. I got a family now. Ben just got engaged. There's all these different phases of life, but I think the one thing you keep connecting to is that, number one for me, I came here as a young buck from Sweden. I didn't know anybody, and those guys just brought me right in, made me feel like we were best friends from day one. So those guys will always mean a lot to me, and to come and to be able to reminisce over some memories here and a few adult beverages was very special last night.
Did you get a chance to connect with your billet family while you've been back?
Yeah, I did. We stopped by their house yesterday afternoon before the game, so that was awesome. And we've kept in touch over the years, but I haven't made it back here many times. So it was really good to come back yesterday and
Well, you've been a little
catch
busy.
up.
Yeah.
I've been a little busy, but it was really good because at the end of the day, like I said, at 16 years old, foreign country, different language, different culture. That was my family, and they made me feel very comfortable, and they helped me with a lot of things, and I love them to death, really, and that was very. Without that, and without having them and that good of a family, it wouldn't have made the transition that easy, and wouldn't have allowed me to play hockey and focus on the things that I needed to do, and it kept me well fed.
Yeah. A lot of people think that your junior team, your junior career, the team's job is to teach you how to be a good hockey player. But how much did Kitchener teach you how to be a good hockey player, a professional, and really how to become a man?
Yeah, a lot. And I credit a lot of that to the coaching staff and Steve Spott, Paul Fixter, and Troy Smith back then. And it was something where we were taught every single day, how to behave at the rink, how to be professional when you're out in the community. Make sure you're treating people with respect. You're not only representing yourself, you're representing the team and therefore the city. So it was something that it was just sort of ingrained in us, and not only that, but they were teaching us how to play hockey the right way. Steve Spott was very particular about how we were going to play the game defensively, and how we were, that defensive game was going to lead to good offense, and I learned so much about the game of hockey just from 2 years of being here, and I think that kind of propelled me into getting drafted, and then obviously getting off to a good start and a good career in Colorado. But I have so much to credit to those guys and what they would teach us on a daily basis, and how to really be a pro, because at that age, you're 16, 17, you can easily be sidetracked, and you can easily be paying attention to the wrong sort of things, or things on the ice that aren't important, whatever. They always kept us in check and made sure that we were studying the game, that we were learning the game the right way, and I found it very, very beneficial for me, and yeah, it meant a lot.
So absorbing those lessons from your coaching staff and implementing them, and that sort of discipline, that self-discipline, that led you to be named the captain here at age 17. And then when you were in Colorado, youngest captain in the league at the time at the age of 19. So where does that leadership come from with you?
Well, I think some of it is the environment that you're raised in at home, right? My mom and dad. But I also believe that leadership is taught, and I think it could be studied just like anything else, and it could be practiced just like anything else. And I think I've always been the first one to say I'm just going to be myself, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to continue to learn and ask questions and watch people around me, right? But I also read a lot, I study a lot, I pick and choose from people from all walks of life, because I think there are lessons to be learned everywhere. Because I think if you just say, I was born a leader and that's it, well, I think you're leaving a lot on the table. So I always try to, I think you can have some of it that you're born with, but then some of it that, a lot of it that you need to learn as well. Because there are a lot of situations where I've been uncomfortable. I don't know, okay, I was born a leader, but I still don't know how to handle this situation. And you can ask people, lean on people. In hockey, there's one person that wears the captaincy, but it is a leadership by committee. We always say that, right? But it's very true, because I've leaned on a lot of teammates, and even when I was captain here in Kitchener, I still lean on some of the older guys on our team, and some of the guys that were older than me, but also had more experience. Because it's not a dictatorship by any means, for the lack of a better term, but it's a group, right? And I think that's the captain's job, is to get everybody pulling towards the same goal. And I think that's all you're trying to do. And there's different ways to go about it, but Nonetheless, it's a fun challenge. I still enjoy it. I've been the captain now for 10 plus years in Colorado, but I still enjoy the challenges of trying to get to know personalities, because ultimately that's what it is. It's how to deal with different personalities inside of that locker room and how to get everybody to come together for one common goal. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of different challenges when you got teammates coming in and out, but yeah.
And that's one of the things I love about you, Gabe, honestly, is just watching your career, is that whatever level you get to, you just don't seem complacent. There's always more to learn. There's just never a ceiling with you. And I think that's a great lesson for life, not just for hockey. So kudos to you for that. I do want to push you on one thing that I had asked you in our interview, and I want to give you a little more time to think about this. You had so many great memories here in Kitchener. But if I were to say you have to pick your favorite, or maybe a couple favorites, what would you say your favorite memory here in Kitchener was?
Oh man, you're still making me sweat over this one. Well, I think there was a home opener my second year. I believe it was my first game as a captain. And I think we were playing Saginaw. And we came off to a rockin' hot start.
Yep.
And I was blessed to be playing with Mike Cadenacci and I believe Ben Thompson at the time. And I was able to score 3 goals in the home opener. If I'm not mistaken, I think
You're not mistaken.
I'm not mistaken. It was a home opener.
Home opener hat trick, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, from a personal standpoint, it was very special because I do remember coming into that season. I'd just been named the captain, and I was a little bit, nervous and maybe some added pressure by myself on top of my own shoulders. But I remember that was sort of a relief. It was going into my draft year, and I remember that game just sort of propelled myself, but also the team off to a good start to that year. Another favorite would be 2010 playoffs, second round against London, and we smacked the
heck out of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that was special. I remember that during the regular season, we'd lost 7 out of 8, I believe, against them.
Yeah.
And we go up against them in the playoffs, and they had a good team. They had a really good team, and I believe we won Game 7 in their building.
Yeah.
We might have to fact check that, but I do believe that. And we moved on to play Windsor, obviously, and that's one of my least favorite moments, just because I still lose sleep over it.
Well, this is great because I want to ask you about this because you mentioned this to me. How when we did our interview down at Ice Level, you looked around and said, "Man, there should still be a banner up here from we just missed out in that." And 13 years later, with everything you've accomplished in your career and a Stanley Cup, to still think back on that, what a competitor! Like you're still losing sleep over that Windsor series.
Yeah, it just really bugs me. It was just a really tough lesson to learn at the time. You don't realize how close you are until it's gone, right? And then you think, like, that was my first year here in North America, and we were essentially, one win away from going to the OHL finals. And we had a really, really good team. Jeff Skinner had scored 50 goals in our regular season, and then Jeff also scored 20 goals in 23 playoff games that playoff run. And we were kind of just rolling as a team, but I also think we weren't ready to understand the grand scope of things and how close that was. And if we could have gone into that Game 4 and realized, hey guys, listen, we're at home here. And I remember having a lead, and I actually remember having a pretty bad turnover that turned into a goal too. And those are hard lessons to learn. Ideally now, even thinking about it, it's made me take care of the puck on the offensive zone blue line better over the course of my career. And it's also every single time we've had the opportunity to finish off a team. We've been up, 3-0 a couple times, and I've always talked to teammates about it. I said, listen, I've been on the wrong side of these series. I know this can happen. Yeah. We go into Game 4 with a 3-0 lead thinking that everything's fine and dandy, but I'm just letting you guys know that we give them anything right now, things can turn pretty quickly. And it obviously did in the Windsor series, but nonetheless, so many amazing memories. And I think the one thing that sticks out, there might not be like the exciting memories, but honestly, the bus rides, right? Like the getting in back here at the odd, in the early mornings and back from long road trips, trying to sleep on the bus, doing homework on the bus, watching Step Brothers on the bus, like that camaraderie.
Step Brothers, yeah.
The camaraderie that you created with those guys, just really, really special, and memories that'll last a lifetime.
I want to touch on your Stanley Cup briefly. Obviously, I'd be irresponsible if I didn't talk to you about this. A career goal, obviously. You finally get to raise that cup, winning it in Colorado. What did it feel like? Put it into words.
Yeah, it's just all these memories come flashing by. You've reached essentially the pinnacle of our sport. You've done it with 25 of your best friends and these guys that you've worked so hard with, but everything that comes back into your mind, and I think it goes fairly similar for everybody as I've talked and asked guys what were they thinking about, is all that, the extra reps in the gym, all the bag skates, all the early mornings, the late nights, the parties you missed out on, the things you said no to. It's all that sort of just comes rushing over you, and I think that and a lot of those memories are from sort of here and obviously back home in Sweden, but also in Colorado. And you think about the people, right? And I told Paul Fixter this last night. You think about the people that have helped you along the way, Fixie and Spotter and Troy Smith and some other coaches and people that really influenced you. Because you feel like they're in your corner, right? So they pushed you all along and helped you out. So it was, you get emotional thinking about it. Very, very special. And having won it once, you now want to do it again because you know how hard it is. And
Again, not complacent. There's no ceiling.
But
there's more.
But that's what it is. And you know what to expect, you know how hard it is, but you also know it's going to be worth it in the end. And you feel like it's something that that can be done, and I just got to get healthy. You just got to get this knee on the right track again, and we'll be back at it.
What are you most proud of in your hockey career?
Well, I think that I've made an impression on people, I think. Obviously you've scored some goals and had some memorable moments on the ice, but I think made an impression on people. And when you talk to them, that they're excited to see you and welcoming you back with open arms. I think that shows that I did something right along the way. And I know my parents would be proud of that. The way you treat people is more important than what you're ever going to do on the ice. So I think that's something that I'm very proud of.
Who taught you the most about hockey?
I would say my dad. He's always been in my corner. He's always been the first phone call after games or the morning after games. And when I played here in Kitchener, he'd sit up and he'd either be watching streaming the games live, or he'd be listening to Mike Farwell on the radio, and we'd always have really good conversations about the game itself, and it was never do this, do that. It was always a conversation about what am I seeing, what are you thinking in this situation, so it was never with a judgmental eye. It was always with trying to help me out, trying to understand me if there was ever a question I had, and it sort of was a two-way communication, which has helped me so much along my career, and we still do it to this day. We talk about all kinds of plays and hockey in general, but the other person would be Steve Spott, no doubt about it. So my dad and Spotter, I think, were probably the two most influential guys for me. And Spotter, in terms of, he took me under his wing, really took me in and made me feel welcome here, and taught me how to be a pro. I think he saw something in me, and I think he saw where I wanted to go, and he knew he could push me. He knew he could teach me things, and whether that was about the game or things off the ice. So those are the two people that I've definitely met the most.
I interviewed Steve Spott a couple years ago in Las Vegas when we were out there, and I asked him, I said, when you see players like Jeff Skinner, when you see Gabe Landeskog on the other team, how do you compartmentalize that? And he said, well, between the first whistle and the end horn, they're the opponent. But any other, like the minute before and the minute after, they're my guys, and they'll always be my guys.
Yeah, it's special, and I feel the same way. You know, you look over to the opposing bench during warm-ups, and you see Spotter there taking notes, and I'll always be smirking at him, and it's just a special bond that we have. And especially from my side of things, where, you know, I don't know where I would be today if it wasn't for my time with Spotter, and that's just as simple as that.
Yeah. Okay, we'll wrap it up with a couple last questions for you. I know we were really fortunate a couple of years ago, you and I, we did a Zoom call. We called it the Captain's Club Reunion, where I got you, Ryan Murphy, Michael Catanacci, and Ben Finelli all together because it was unique. 4 tight friends, all 4 captains, all 4 teammates, and I expected the 4 of you to talk for maybe 10 or 12 minutes. And we talked for 48 minutes. You guys were having so much fun. How much did you enjoy getting that group together again?
Oh, so much. I mean, there's been a few times where we've gotten together in person, but to do that call that you set up, it was awesome. And to understand, all of a sudden you're like, well, I don't think we really understood either. We're like, well, we were at one point really, really tight teammates, and now we're sitting here. We all at one point wore the C for the Rangers, and I think that's just very, very special. And obviously we were tight. And I'd like to say that I taught him a lot of things because I was the first captain, and then it trickled down after that. But you know what? It's one of those things. Even like I said, leadership by committee, right? And I had those guys in the locker room. I knew I had a few guys I could pick their minds on and pick their brains on certain things. And we just have a blast.
Yeah.
With the camera, I'd like to think that we polish things up a little bit. Off the camera, we turned 16 again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that happened in that interview is Michael Catanacci outed you. And I want you to watch the clip right here where he reveals this about you, Gabe.
For me, it's Gabe eats pasta with ketchup. And as an Italian coming into that, I was like,
I'm
whoa,
Italian
what
too.
is this?
That's not okay.
So, Gabe, it's been 3 years, and I've been struggling with learning that you put ketchup on pasta. So I need you to know that yesterday I made a homemade pot of our family pasta sauce.
Wow.
This is a 60-year family recipe.
Wow.
And I want you to try it.
Thank
I
you.
need to try and get this out of your system, this ketchup thing,
Wow.
because I talked to Finelli about it. I talked to Catanacci about it. Well, you don't want to open it now. But
I
you
want
wanna
to smell
say-
it.
Oh, yeah, I want to smell it. There's a lot of garlic in there.
Wow.
There's a lot of garlic in there.
Okay, I can't even open
All right,
it.
yeah.
Never mind.
I
Cut
sealed,
that out.
I sealed it up for you. Anyways, so
Yeah,
I want you to give that a try, and
All right.
hopefully
All
I
right.
can convert you to the Italian way of
Well,
eating.
you know what? My wife is Italian as well. She's got a lot of Italian blood. So I have been practicing a little bit, and whenever I go over to my in-laws, I don't put any ketchup on pasta.
Excellent.
So I'm learning.
Excellent. Last question for you. Finish this with one word or one thought, or as much as you'd like. Finish the sentence for me, Gabe. Being a Kitchener Ranger is.
It is an honor. It is a privilege, and to have been in this building and to have walked in these same hallways and locker rooms as many of the greats before us, I think it's nothing but an honor. So I think you just try to do your best to make sure you pass it forward. Yeah, it's special.
Gabe, once a Ranger, always a Ranger.
Always a Ranger. Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Stuff.
Awesome. So is this for me to keep?
It's for you to keep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
For sure.
Thank you.
I didn't know if anyone was vegetarian, so there's no meat in there.
Okay, sweet.
Garlic basil,
Oh,
San
this will be-
Marzano tomatoes. I cut my finger making it yesterday.
Did you?